Good morning, crochet crafters. This is a project that you can do with the kids or young people, and I think it will be fun if you've never crocheted before. It's going to be something that uses one of the basic stitches of crocheting, which is a chain. And today, to help those young little hands along, we're going to be using a larger crochet hook. And there are two styles here. You can use the size 10 or 11, 12, whichever one's going to work for your young person. But both of these are a 10.5, I believe. But you can see one has a different style hook on top, a little bit pointier. This one might be a little easier to use right now. However, this one is a little longer. So if you have small hands, you can buy one that's a little shorter for those small children hands. And you'll need craft scissors. You may want to help your children and hold on to those, not let them have any scissors in their hand right now. And the other thing is you'll need some kind of eyes for your bookworm. And if you have a hint, old shirt, and you're throwing an old stained shirt away or something you really don't need anymore, just cut those buttons off of those shirts, throw them into a jar, because you might be able to use those for your crafts in the future. And these buttons happen to have just a little tiny rhinestone stud, which kind of makes it look like the eyeball of the bookworm, and it's similar color to the yarn that I'm using, so I think that will be cute. Okay, so to get started, pick up whichever kind of thick crochet hook that you'd like to use. And I'm going to assume that you've never crocheted before, so we're going to go nice and slow, and we're going to do a really easy big stitch. And this is a thick yarn. It's kind of a bulkier yarn, so I would start with something like that for your children. And you can come from behind the hook and just wrap that around. And what I like to do is I like to hold it with my fingers like that, so it looks like it's completely around. So you're holding it, and then you're going to wrap this around, and then you can grab this one with your other finger and pull it through. Now, if that's too hard and you need to use all your fingers at once to help you navigate that, that's fine. No problem, as long as you get it on your hook. The basic stitch in crocheting is a chain. And we're going to do a lot of chains today for this bookworm. So you just wrap it around, and again, you can hold this and pull it through. And that's one stitch, one chain. So you're going to wrap it around and pull it through. That's two. Wrap it around, pull it through, 3. Wrap it around, pull it through, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if you need to pause and go ahead and do this with someone, I want you to go ahead and just chain 31. And I'm just gonna go ahead and chain. And once you're there, and once you've got that, and if you're new, just try to keep a significant size of your stitch even. If that's hard to do, just when you're pulling it tight or you're pulling it with your fingers, just try to keep a consistent, even look, if you can. If you can't, don't worry about it for your first time. So you've got your chain in this hook right here, and you're going to go into the next one over, and you're going to come back now. So what we're going to do is you're going to come back in that one, and you're going to wrap around and pull through. And then you have 2 on your hook, wrap around and pull through. So that's 1. And then going in that same loop, you're not moving on to the next one, you're going in the same one, you're going to do another one of those stitches, and that's called a single crochet. You're going to put a third one in there, same place, single crochet. So you put 3 stitches into that first chain from the hook, and then the second one you're going to do 3 in there too. And this is a single crochet stitch USA. I think in the UK they call it a double stitch. And then the third one you're going to put 3 in there. The same thing. Now as you go through, you're going to see this is wrapping. That's what you want it to do. That's how you're creating your bookworm. And we're going to keep doing 3 in each stitch. So it's a single crochet in each stitch. And again, I want to put it through the stitch. You pull it through. You wrap it around. 1. Count 2 in each stitch. And essentially till you get till the end of that, this is what you're doing. 3 in each stitch. And I'm moving a little fast, but if you are a beginner, it will take you some time. Don't get frustrated. And be sure to always go into the next stitch once you're done with the 3. And your work should start to look like that. That's your curly Q. That's your bookworm. If it's not looking like that, then maybe you forgot one of your stitches, because you have to have 3 in each one of those chains in order for it to curl, and it has to be 3 in each of them to look even. And as you're doing that, it will start to really curl up on you, and you'll have a nice little bookworm. And once you've created the worm, you need to do a little chain so that when you put it in a book, you have that chain part. And then if you want, you can make a little tail at the bottom. Or the other thing that people do is they put like a little jewel at the bottom of their bookworm, some kind of little inspirational charm that says, you know, books are fun. Or so if you have some of those charms that you got at a craft store, that's always fun to add. But once you've got 3 all the way down your bookworm, I'll show you what comes next. So this isn't the end of it. You have to do one final thing, but this is really a nice craft for a young person because it's a repetitive craft and it's easy, and the results, remove these buttons, the results are instantaneous. And sometimes when you're crocheting, if you're doing a sweater or a blanket, the results take, you know, weeks at a time before you can really realize the, I guess, the fruits of your labor is what I would call it. But with kids, they want instant gratification, and this, they can finish this in about half an hour. Or if they're fast, they can finish it in 10 minutes, but I would say it's probably a half an hour to an hour project for a young person. And this might be a good scouting activity. And you know, if you buy the Super Saver Red Heart bulky yarn, that works really well. I buy that a lot, and you can get a discount on that because you can buy it in bulk. And it's actually called, I believe, the bulky yarn or the thick yarn. Don't quote me on that, but it's a Super Saver yarn, and it comes in a lot of different colors. And if you want, you can even buy that online. And for this, you don't need a lot of yarn. So if you get a couple, you know, if you have a bunch of scouts or something that you need to do a project for. And one of the things is you may want to unravel your yarn ahead a time for the young person because I spend a lot of time unraveling my yarn. Now, I'm at the end, and if you have that end piece right there that you started off with, this is going to be referred to as the tail, and in crocheting, this is the tail. And a lot of times what we try to do is, quote, work our tails back into our work. So I have 2 more stitches to do in this last one. So I'm going to grab it and I'm going to pretend these 2 stitches are 1 stitch. I could even kind of go like this so that they're together. And I'm going to wrap it around and finish my last 2 stitches in there. Remembering that the tail is counting only as the 1 stitch. It's not counting as a separate stitch. And I was able to work everything in except this small, tiny little piece right there, which I can, again, parents or adults, just help your young people cut that off. So that's gone. Now I have my curly Q, and my googly eyes are going to go right there. And I'm just going to sew those on, or, you know, again, if you're a Scoutmaster or a parent, you probably can sew them on for your child. Or if they're a teen, they could probably do that themselves. My yarn is a little twisted here. So what you're going to do is you are going to continue to chain after you've got that tail worked in. And what this chain is now is you're going to leave this. This is going to be what's going to lay flat in the book. So you have your bookworm, and now you're going to have, and you can chain as many as you want. And what I mean by that is if you like it to hang over the book and you want to put a charm at the end, you can do that. So this project is great because it's just a chaining project. So, and a good rule of thumb is most books are, you know, 9 inches tall, but except a coffee table book, the largest they're going to be is 9 inches. So you could certainly take your ruler if you want to make sure that it's consistent, and you can go like this. And right now I need mine to be another inch, so I'm probably going to do 4 more. So that would give you what's going to lay flat in the book. But if you want it to kind of hang down out of the book, you don't want it to be too distracting. But if you do want it to hang down just slightly, I would suggest you add, you know, another inch or 2. And then at the end, you can add a charm, or you can add my yarn is I just used a scrap piece. It's very tight this morning. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a little stitch at the bottom. I'm just going to go back into the one right here. I'm going to wrap it around. I'm going to wrap this around, and then I'm going to go back in again. I'm going to wrap it around, and then I'm going to pull through. And that just kind of gives it a little end tail, and then I'm just going to sew the yarn. Again, this is the craft scissor. When you cut this off, I'm going to cut it off a little bit down here so that I can sew that back in. So you pull it through. Pull it through like that. So it's just a little, it just gives you a little end stitch. And then you can take a scissor or a craft scissor. And if you're working with a small one or you're a young person, pull your yarn apart and tie it. That's going to be the easiest way for a child, or not a small child, I call a young adult, to do that, because now you've made that little tail puff, so it's not going to show. If you just tried to tie off after a chain, it would probably show. So there is my super cute bookmark. And again, you don't have to sew eyes on. You can just use it as a bookmark like this. Or you can also use leftover like black yarn if you want to just use that. But I'm going to take a needle. I'm not going to do it on the video, but I'm going to take a needle and I'm going to put my eyes on like that. And then I'm going to have my little bookmark. So enjoy your project. Have fun with your kids or your young ones. Take care.